Jr. Ted is an attorney. He's a cancer survivor. He's an amputee. He's the secretary of the AAPD Board of Directors. He is one of the brightest lights in the next generation of disability rights leaders. I'm proud to have him as a friend and a mentor. Please join me in welcoming Ted Kennedy, Jr.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, thank you very much. It's great to be here in New Hampshire. We're going to be spending a lot of time together today, but one of my jobs is to make sure that the program keeps moving along, so I'm one of the official timekeepers. But let me just say, before the program begins, how honored I am to be asked by Clyde Terry and Granite State Independent Living to be today's moderator. This is an incredible occasion. For those of you like me who've been involved in disability rights issues, never before has an event been put together on a scale like this, and we are so thrilled that national political campaigns have taken the time to come and learn about our issues and speak to our issues, because we in the disability community believe that people with disabilities deserve the same rights and opportunities as everybody else. We base our beliefs on concepts of independent living, self-determination, equality, and political and economic empowerment. Unfortunately, the history of people with disabilities in the United States has been one of social and political and economic isolation. People for years throughout our U.S. history were removed, people with disabilities were removed from society. We were educated and housed in separate facilities and separate communities and institutions as if we had some sort of contagious illness. Integration and participation in the public life were not even goals at that time. We're a young movement. We have to remember that it was really only about 30 years ago, in 1975, where the Education for All Handicapped Children Act was passed. Before that time, millions of children with disabilities were not even afforded an education in the United States, the most powerful country in the world. We made incredible strides with the Rehab Act of 1973 and with the ADA. And we're not trying to hide or deny our disabilities. In fact, we're proud of who we are here today. We really, you know, people, I'm on the phone with a number of different communications people from the various campaigns, and I'm trying to explain that we really want the same thing out of life as everybody else. It really is that simple: to go to school, to live in our own apartment, to go to the movies and restaurants with our friends, to have a family, to have a job and pay taxes, and to vote and participate in the political process. We're diverse. We have a lot of different opinions, and we may not all agree on everything, but we all share and are unified, I believe, by a common experience. This is, again, a groundbreaking event. I'd like to thank, again, the 23 national sponsors in Granite State. We have tremendous leaders here today from the disability community. Also with us today, in all likelihood, is the next President of the United States. I think I'm going to ask the audience just a couple of housekeeping. Obviously, I think it's important for us to show our appreciation and respect to all the candidates, both Democrat and Republican, who have taken time to participate in this day's event. I think just by being here, these campaigns and candidates have already expressed their interest and commitment to disability issues. We have question cards on the tables, I think for a number of reasons, including the webcasting that we're doing that's taking place nationwide. Felt it was better that the questions all be asked from one location, but a number of organizations have already been submitting questions to me that are representative of the diverse opinions of the group. But again, we're going to be collecting cards throughout the day, so please fill out questions. You can hand them to Ann Summers. Ann, will you raise your hand? She's sitting at the table over here. She's going to be collecting some of the questions from the audience. And I think, are we almost ready to introduce our first speaker? I'm told my first duty, and this is the fun thing about being the moderator at an event like this, because you never know what is going to happen. Next, again, Ann will collect the question cards from throughout the day. My next official duty here is to introduce New Hampshire State Senator Lou D'Alessandro. Is Lou in the building yet? No. Okay. Well, will somebody please alert me when he arrives so we can get that portion of the program going? Just so you know, I want everybody to understand that as Andy Imparato said, all political campaigns, Democrat and Republican, were contacted to participate in this day's event, and repeated attempts to get them to come ensued. We have a couple of folks, including Senator John McCain this afternoon, who's unable to be here in person but is going to be participating via telephone hookup. So we're thrilled about that. We have, as you can see from your program, we have a number of candidates who are going to be here in person: Senator Clinton, Senator Biden, Senator Dodd, Congressman Kucinich, Congressman Bonnier representing Senator John Edwards, Senator Gravel, and Senator McCain. So we have a very full program here today. Okay, well, you're going to hear my life story then. Some people, ask me, how did you get involved in the disability movement? And I think, like many of you, it just, kind of happened to me one day when I was 12 years old, and the doctors told me that I was going to lose part of my leg, and I thought it was simply, they meant cutting out the swollen part right below my kneecap, and they said no, from the knee down. And I remember how shocked and horrified I was when I was told that, because I couldn't imagine living my life with a disability, because you see, I had grown up believing that having a disability was worse than living at all. Even though I had grown up in this progressive family with my uncles and fathers, my Aunt Rosemary, for example, born with mental retardation, and a very active family, I was somehow imbued with this idea. And that is why I am spending so much of my time today trying to break down the attitudes and stereotypes that surround disability. And I think that's because I really believe that it's really not a person's physical or mental condition that creates the handicap. Most often it's society's perception of that condition that is the most disabling thing. And I remember a tremendous amount of social and emotional isolation that I experienced. And yes, I tried to be brave and keep a smile on my face throughout everything. But I remember when I was changing in the boys' locker room to go to swimming. Swimming was one of the sports I could continue to do. I'd wait till all the other kids would leave the locker room before I removed my artificial leg, because to me, my stump looked purple, and it looked deformed and disgusting, and I was incredibly ashamed by the way I looked. And I can remember my teachers and others saying, you shouldn't feel that way, or don't let that bother you. But you know what? It did bother me. And if there's one thing I'll never say to my two children, I'll never say, don't let that bother you. Because, and I share this story and this today because I think that people with disabilities do experienced a tremendous amount of social and emotional isolation. And that is why we need to have these connections, and we need to have civil rights so people are able to be integrated, not just in the school, but also in every single aspect of life. In college, I met this woman named Judy Heumann. I was invited to go to the Yale Political Forum. I was a student at Wesleyan in Middletown. I had never heard of disability rights before. I was about 20 years old, didn't even know what disability law was. And I went down there and I listened to Judy Heumann speak. And from that moment on, I realized that this was my mission in my life. We all have the things that we do for our work, what we have to do to provide for our families, and then we have our life's work. And this is, I think, truly my life's work.